This is Doll, a character from an indie animated series produced by Glitch Productions and created by Liam Vickers called Murder Drones. Now, if you've watched the series, you already know what happened to her in episode 7. However, if you haven't watched the series, there are spoilers ahead, so I do recommend you go watch the series and then come back to this video. Now, as you know, in episode 7, she dies. Pretty gruesome one at that. However, I've seen a lot of criticism about her death, saying that it was very sudden and not needed. It was very clear that the fans wanted depth into this character, a character that some of them was their favorite. And although I do agree that Doll should have gotten a bit more character development, I can't say that killing her off was the worst idea. In this video, I will be doing a deep dive into Doll as a character, along with the genius writing behind her character. We are first introduced to Doll as a character wanting to get revenge for her parents' deaths against V, who killed her parents. This "you killed my parents, so now I'm gonna kill you" trope is commonly found in media to this day, and although not always perfectly executed, it is still a pretty good character developing arc you can give a character. However, I'm not going to name specific examples because there are probably too many and I'm too lazy to actually do research. However, Doll's character evolved far from this commonly found trope. It went from "I'm trying to get revenge" to "I need to find this cure so I don't die" kind of thing. And she doesn't appear a lot in episode 4, 5, and 6. However, we still get little snippets of her character and storyline. However, in episode 7, we get a lot more depth into her character, along with no more character at all. We find out that she found the patch for the absolute solver and used it on herself, seemingly causing the eye patch stuff, as said by Tessa, or what we thought was Tessa. We basically just learn this information and then she just dies. Now, I'm not going to go through this entire video without addressing her death. Now, her death wasn't exactly perfect. It felt very anticlimactic and not very well written, and I didn't mention this in my review video of episode 7, which you should definitely go check out. It heavily impacted the quality of this episode. Now, on a surface level, Doll doesn't really seem like an important character. They just seem like a side character that didn't get a lot of attention and was just killed off for dramatic effect. However, I get views by overanalyzing stuff. The character that Doll is commonly compared to is Shadow the Hedgehog. Now, I can't really fact check this because I'm not exactly a big Sonic fan. I just watched the movies. Please don't start an argument in the comments about this. However, the basic point is that Shadow the Hedgehog is basically if Sonic was bad. Like, no morals or anything. Again, I don't really know. I'm not a big Sonic fan. However, this comparison doesn't really affect my video that much, so don't take it too seriously. Anyway, let's change directions a bit on this video and talk about Uzi's character a bit so I can get fully into Doll's character. Uzi grew up with only one parent, her dad, and it's very clear that her dad wasn't exactly involved in her life, as said in episode 3.
You were never there for me!
However, her dad was still there to provide her with basic housing and do basic parent stuff, such as go to parent-teacher conferences. Even though she wasn't exactly the most popular person in school, she still got friends that cared about her and even a boyfriend in the end. She was overall a decent person, besides being an overall crazy person and eating and killing people, but that's besides the point. Now let's look at Doll. Doll had no parents, which means she probably had to provide for herself the entire time. She was so traumatized by literally seeing her parents die in front of her that she literally brought their dead bodies into her house or room or whatever this is called. Despite her being popular, assuming that she was actually friends with Lizzie and not just a pity friend or something, she still didn't hesitate and in fact even enjoyed killing her own classmates to get what she wanted, and also ate them too. Now, you can definitely see the parallels between Uzi and Doll's character. Both of them lost their parents, or at least had parents that weren't in their lives. However, Uzi still had a dad who probably did all that schoolwork and paperwork and stuff like that. I don't know. Do drones have taxes? Now, I'm not exactly sure what happened to Doll, but I can just assume that she probably had to take care of all this stuff by herself. She had to enroll herself in school. I don't know, maybe even pay taxes or something. So not only did she not even have a parent to take care of her, she didn't even have someone to take care of her basic necessities. However, Uzi did. This is where you get to see the dividing line between Uzi and Doll as characters. Uzi always had friends to take care of her. She had at least one parent to do all the basic necessities. However, Doll did not have this. She did not have parents to take care of her basic necessities. She did not have real friends to lean on. Because of this, her actions in the future were heavily influenced. Now, I do see some people talking about how Doll is just a ruthless monster with no emotion. However, we can see this is disproven in episode 6 and different occasions as well. Like in episode 6, when she is releasing the Sentinels or calling the Sentinels, she first grins in satisfaction, then looks at Uzi and has a face of remorse. She knows that what she's doing is wrong. However, however, continues to do these actions because she thinks it's the best way to do things. Also, a moment in episode 5 when Uzi and Doll are fighting over the key bug, Uzi is talking about how this is the only clue to what's wrong with her, and Doll has a look of remorse. This shows that she knows what Uzi is going through and actually has a level of empathy, yet still chooses to do the wrong thing or the right thing in her eyes because she thinks it's what can get her all the way. Now, this heavily influences her death in episode 7. Throughout the entire series, we get to see her using others to her advantage to get what she wants. From killing all her classmates and using all her classmates and Lizzie to lure V into the colony base camp, or whatever you would call this, to kill her, to using Uzi to get the key bug. She never once leans on her friends or just others that know what she's going through and would help her, and instead uses them to get her own way. This ultimately leads to her death in episode 7. If she were to trust Uzi and N and put aside her mixed feelings with V, she would have been able to live. Really think about it. If Doll actually went with N, Uzi, V, and supposedly Tessa at the time, she would have probably survived, if not survived longer. Now, I do understand that she's probably not too keen in teaming up with her parents' murderer. However, she could just have like a problem with V, and that can be like addressed later. I feel like V and Doll could have had like a really great conversation in episode 6 talking about how Doll's parents died and stuff like that. I'm not saying this is what would have happened, I'm just saying that this could have been a really cool arc we could have seen. However, depending on where the show's going in episode 8, I don't really know how plausible this arc is. Basically, the point is that she should have teamed up with N and Uzi at least, which most likely would have resulted in her not dying. However, she just ends up using them to get what she wants, which overall leads to her one-on-one with Tessa / the Absolute Solver / Sin, which gets her killed. Throughout the entire series, she is constantly using other people to get what she wants. However, Uzi throughout the entire series is constantly leaning on her friends, giving up what makes her herself to save her friends. Because Doll did not do this and instead does the absolute opposite, she ends up dead, and this is where her character really comes into play. She is basically the dark version of Uzi, what Uzi could have accidentally fallen into. However, because Uzi didn't do this and relied on her friends instead of using them to get what she wants, she was able to become a better person and overall live longer. Doll is basically what Uzi could have become. However, Uzi does not become someone like Doll because of everything around her. If she really became like Doll, we would have had a 7-season show. And on top of literally all of Doll's character, she also speaks a different language. She speaks Russian, which just makes her character 10 times better. Making a character speak a different language isn't exactly used that often in the world of story writing, and I think it should be used a lot more, at least in the film industry, as long as it's used correctly. The only excuse against this I can really see is like, oh, I don't like reading whenever I'm watching something, and 1, I'm sorry, what? And 2, the English language is stupid. Pronounce the word on screen right now and then type your answer in the comments. I will guarantee you that at least one person will reply to your comment saying that you are wrong. Anyway, if I were you, I'd consider subscribing because next week The Amazing Joe Circus episode 2 comes out, and I will be posting a breakdown analysis video on that along with a review video, so you should probably stay posted for that. Anyway, like the video if you actually liked it, comment down below anything I missed, stay tuned, and I'll see you next time.